All right, guys, this is game 9 review. Was our last regular season game of this season. Um, it was almost picture perfect. I maybe saw one critique the entire time. Um, and other than that, you guys did really an amazing job. So, the team was not that strong defensively, so it gave us a lot of opportunity to kind of work on our decision making. So in a lot of scenarios, you had the ball carrier had decisions. They could carry, they could make a pass. They weren't being rushed by the defense. The defense, wasn't pressuring them very strongly. They also had pretty soft defense in terms of what we've talked about, like having layered defense or keeping appropriate pressure on the ball without allowing progress past. So in a lot of scenarios, we were able to just dribble past them and then get open shots on the goalie. So it wasn't a great game to really highlight things that we are struggling with. But one thing it does provide us is to make sure that we are being disciplined, because what happened a number of times is we'd end up in this scenario where we've made a successful dribble past their defense, and everyone kind of want to gets in on the action, and we end up crowding the space. So what I mean by that is we will have a forward here with the ball. We'll have the other forward on the backside, and then we'll have all three midfielders in here. So we've got five people in here, and then we've got our three defenders in the back. And this was fine in this game, because there wasn't a lot of counterattack. They didn't have um, really strong midfielders who could advance the ball quickly, and leave us all behind, and then make progress, and they would have the numerical advantage. But a good team would have exploited that, to no end. Essentially, all they would have had to do is, um, if they can just get possession of the ball, pass it out to a midfielder, and all of their midfielders are up and their forwards are up, they now have the numerical advantage. Look at how the spacing is working. All of our team, the majority of our team is in their box, and now they're playing 5-on-3. So this has actually happened to us before, which is why we've set the rule that our midfielders have to always be behind the ball. So if the ball ends up here, our midfielders need to recover to cut off, to cover passes and to close out and delay progress of the ball. So we've said that. In this last game, we really weren't doing this, mainly because we could get away with it. But we really need to remember that to play disciplined, what we should have done was made sure that we're covering the counterattack, and we had good field balance, even with teams that don't have um, a strong counterattack. So that's something that we need to be really careful about, being disciplined about that. Our defense, in this last game, we kind of highlighted just how well you guys have progressed in your one-on-one defense. A number of times they would have the ball in a position that's in our third, and they would be dribbling down, and we would have a defender just casually shadowing them, ensuring that they don't make progress towards the goal. Keeping their body in between them and the goal so they never have a shot, and eventually, either displacing the ball, getting in between, and gaining possession, or just letting this guy, get to a position where the defense is really being played by the goal line. So we would be in this position where they have a really hard time. Yes, they can cross if they have the skill for it, but if this person just keeps their feet on the ground and prevents any easy crosses, or any dribbles, they're bottled up. They can't really do anything. So this worked flawlessly this game. This one-on-one defense was really, really, really good. The only thing that I didn't notice, um, was that with this coverage here, I didn't really notice the, um, someone making sure to be back behind. So someone coming back and being a second line of defense. Something I did see. So this was really true on kind of the breakaway dribbles when they were breaking away, making a fast run. Sometimes there would be one person here, and maybe there would be a delay in someone getting back. However, when they were in a position where they were making slow progress and they say, for instance, have the ball here, something that I did see is in this scenario when the defense actually had time and it wasn't like a breakaway. I saw this a number of times. I saw this positioning where you guys were not too close, so that if he got past one, he'd still have to get past the other. And something really interesting that I saw was there was one possession when this person with the ball dribbled in this way, and so they were now over here, and what I saw was both of these players adjusted their position. So, in this scenario, there might have been like the player was here and the player was here. And then when this person moved over here, these two people switched. So now their position was here and their position was here. And this happened just naturally. You guys naturally did this. So both players adjusted their position to be in between the attacker and the goal. And this was perfect. I think earlier in the season we might have had this person do that adjustment and this person just kind of lazily say, no, he's good. I don't need to worry about it. And just watch. But in this game, I saw active movement by this secondary defender to say, no, I am my responsibility is to be a second line and to be in between the person and the goal. So this was really good to see that we have this like layered defense approach. Also, the spacing in between these two players, these two defenders, was perfect. Um, Earlier in the season, you guys would play like this, where it's like one person directly behind the other, and that wasn't happening this game. This game, you had the appropriate amount of space, so you were close enough to be a second line of defense, but you weren't too far away that you gave them an open advance. So that was really good. Our defense was was really good in this last game, other than the fact that again that our mids, were really trying to get in on the scoring action. Um, all right, in terms of offense, the only thing that I saw, and this happened in the second quarter. So from my perspective, we were going this way. Uh, we were carrying the ball, and there was a defender advancing, and this player just kind of got overly overly confident. That we had scored a number of goals, we had done really well, and the overconfidence caused a turnover because they had an open player right here, and the correct move would have been pass to that player, run behind, and then receive the pass back. This is exactly what should have happened. It should have been a give and go. Should have been a really easy um, way to get the ball into a deep position with the defender behind you. But instead of doing this pass, this player kind of reverted back to the non-team style of play. So they said, "Hey, I am just going to do a fancy dribble and get past this player." And they ended up losing the ball. So they ended up behind this player. This player had the ball, and then they had forward progress with a lot of space. This is exactly why we focus on a passing game. Okay, in against teams that are not skilled at defense, teams that are skilled at defense, we always prioritize the passing game because the passing game is the highest probability. Okay, what that means is that if if you are aware of this person being here and you are aware of the spacing and you notice that you can make a pass to them, this pass is always going to be significantly higher probability of both maintaining the ball, keeping the possession, and getting it, making progress forward. This is always going to be a higher probability than trying to dribble past someone, regardless of how skilled you are. You could be the best dribbler ever, but this pass is always going to be a higher probability of success. So, it doesn't matter who you are. Messi would make this pass. If this is an open man here, he would not attempt to try to dribble past there. He would make that pass. So it's not a good idea to think, hey, I have enough skill, I can revert back to this one-on-one attack when you have a team. Soccer is a team sport. We always make the open pass. So I saw this happen. And again, because we had a lot of scoring opportunities, we kind of fell back into that mindset of, hey, I can score. And so we also had this. We had the ball in this position. They had defense here, and we had an open man on the backside. And this person, I think I saw this twice. This person made a goal. They scored a goal, past the defender into the goal. But this was a bad shot. This was bad shot selection. For one thing, they had a bad angle, so they're wide, right? And so the size of the target in this scenario is this big, right? It's a very narrow target that you have to hit, and you have the goalie here, so it's even smaller. And you have the defender here, so they're blocking off a section of your goal. One lateral pass, and you would have had this giant window with the goalie here in the corner. And we're kind of reverting back to the I want to win the game or I want to be the one that makes the goal. So we're taking harder shots than we need to. In fact, this was a hard shot. They had to get it past two defenders and into the narrow space. This pass right here, this person could have just dribbled the ball into the goal or just done a simple pass into the goal. If you look at the scenario, this shot right here, the decision making is, hey, I can make this shot, you know, maybe maybe 40% of the time. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna take it. It's worth doing that. But this shot right here is probably an 80% shot. And we always talk about that soccer is a game of probabilities. Always try to get to the point where the probability of success is higher. Okay? So that's really the takeaway from this game is yes, we did well. Yes, this was, relatively easy game for us to win, but we're actually making poor decisions because of that. And we're making decisions that are based on your individual goals rather than team goals. Okay, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. Like the goal of what we're doing on the field is we want to have success, have the highest probability of success, and the way of doing that is working as a team, is making the open passes, even if you're in the box, even if you think you have a goal. If you have a good shot, that's great. But if there is a better shot to be had, then pass the ball. Okay, we always want to pass the ball. And one thing that we do really well, even in this game, in every game that we've done really well, is we've gotten away from the single-minded um, belief that we have to beat a defender. Okay, so I talked about this one example here where we tried to beat the defender, but as a team, a lot of what happens in this age group is, let's say it's reversed and we're playing against a team that hasn't really learned this concept. In this situation, their number one priority is get the ball past this person. That's what they're going to try to do. And it's a very low probability of success. We have gotten away from that. We have really embraced, as a team, you guys have embraced protect the ball and then make an open pass. The ball needs to stay away from the defense, even if it means giving the ball away and you not being the hero of the game. That we've really embraced that. So keeping possession, we're doing a really good job at that. And we need to translate that into the attack. We need to say, well, the problem is once we get into this forward third, our mindset is I need to score a goal, I need to score a goal, I need to score a goal. And it's really hard to adapt that mindset that we had on defense, which is I don't need to get it past the person in front of me. I just need to keep it away from the other team. The same objective needs to happen in our offense. When you have pressure, we need to get it to an open person. And if you have a shot, if you're close enough and you have a shot, you need to be realistic about, do I have the highest success shot, or is there someone else who has a higher percent shot than I do? Okay, so we're really really good at making those decisions about possession and passing when we're in our half or in the middle, and we got to make sure that we're doing that when we're in the forward third, and that's really it. Other than that, you guys are like we started the beginning of the year where you were willing passers, you moved the ball around, you had great spacing, we're never bunching up, you're finding space. So if you are the person without the ball, you are getting to a spot where you have a chance of supporting the person with the ball. We're not hiding behind the ball like this. So that's going really well. You guys are not rushing anything. I really like the fact that even from the beginning of the year, when you guys were on defense um, and you're in a position like this, a lot of teams learn that this is a time to just clear the ball and get it out of play. You guys are not doing that. You guys are controlled. You are trusting your team. You're passing back to the goalie. You're passing out to the sides. You're making progress up. But we're not just kicking the ball out um, and giving it away. Um, Earlier in the season, we had there were situations where we had ball pressure and we didn't have confidence that we would keep the ball, and so we would just kick it out blindly and we'd end up giving it away. This is kind of this hasn't happened as much in the last few games, so I want to continue to see that. We control the ball, we keep it away, we pass it, we always find an open man to pass to. We never turn the ball over. Our turnovers have significantly decreased because of this. On defense, we're getting back, so we're not giving up open runs. You guys you're just learning how to play the game really, really well, both individually. So as an example on defense, not stabbing at the ball, not diving, not sticking your foot out to try to get the ball, standing your ground, keeping both feet on the ground, getting ball separation, all of that. You're doing it on the individual side, you're doing it on the team side, and really, again, the only place that I really see, um, somewhere where we can improve is decision making when we're attacking. When we are going this way and we get into the forward third, and we need to continue to play the same game of keep the ball away, move it around, find an opportunity, get a high percentile shot. That's really it. One last thing is I have seen sometimes where you'll have a timid player in this position who isn't, they might not have any defense in front of them and they're still looking to pass the ball. You have to be aggressive. You have to think, hey, if I have space, I am going to dribble. If I have a shot, I'm going to take the shot. You have to have that mindset. And only if there is defensive pressure should I try to get it out of that pressure to someone else. Okay, we gotta make those decisions. All right, this was a long one, but this is also the last one. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. You have had an amazing season. You've learned so much. You've been very coachable. You've really internalized all the information that we've been doing on these whiteboards, and you're really showing that you're understanding the game better. So I just want to say, great job. Any team moving forward would be lucky to have any one of you guys. Your knowledge of how to play effective soccer is just it's very impressive. So great job on learning this season. All right.